Hey everyone, so this video are for my nonprofit directors and church ministers, folks who are in the nonprofit space. Safety for whether you run a school, could be a missions rep or principal. So chances are you are trying to raise money via donations on your website, and you are having a challenge with maybe the campaigns aren't as effective as they can be, right? And you've been maybe doing the same thing over and over. You have your donation page, do some social media posts, a couple of emails. You may talk about it in person, right? But that's about it. So what I want to show is a marketing funnel, and and I'm going to try to keep this as jargon free as possible. A marketing funnel is simply a process, right, where you're creating content to get people to learn about you, be interested, and then eventually convert, which might be, let's say, to make a donation, right? So this is a marketing funnel in the general sense, but everything applies to you in the nonprofit space. So typically at the top of the funnel, right, this is where you have marketing assets. You're utilizing SEO, which is search engine optimization. You're creating content that you want people to find, right, that's relevant to what you're doing, and they come to your website. You may be doing ads on Facebook, or you're just doing social media marketing. Typically, most of the people I speak to are focusing more on like the social media marketing, doing the reels, the TikToks, etc. Right now, at this stage, you're really just getting people to be aware that your organization exists. That's really what it is, right? And this may take a while. They might need to see repeated posts or ads, social media reels, etc. before it sinks in that they become interested in your cause. From there, they may start to read more posts with intent, right? They may be looking at more of your video content, right? They're going to your website because they know that your website has the most relevant information, right? At this stage on your website, you would typically have what's known as a lead magnet. That is something you're giving. It could be an ebook, a guide, something of value that they can consume in exchange for their name and email address. Because at that point, right, they go from the interest phase into considering, right? They're really becoming more invested, right? And this is where I think a lot of organizations are not closing things properly, right? Because typically at this point, you want to start sending them emails, right? Not spam emails, not just donate and whatnot. You're giving them information that is really more intimate. It's almost like a one-to-one. Like you're talking to that person individually. Yes, it's going out to a big audience, but the content should feel and resonate with the recipient, right? And the beautiful thing about email is that you can control the time when it goes out, so when they receive it, and everyone will receive it at the same time. Whether they open it or not is a different story, but it is a lot more cohesive when you send an email campaign than if you're doing social media marketing, for example, right? At that point, with the targeted emails, this is where they would typically decide to make a decision in terms of, I'm going to click on the link that says, donate, and I'm going to then go to the website and finish your transaction, right? Now I have demos in the diagram, and that's if you're maybe on, you have a service, right, that you want to demonstrate in person, right, or a sales call, that type of thing. But the consideration phase is really where you have to nurture, and it may take a couple of days, a couple of weeks, a couple of months. It really depends on how, what the level of the ask is. The higher the ask, the longer that nurturing process takes. And this is where you need to have, a proper email marketing strategy in order to nurture, rather than it being like a one-off email or sporadic email, right? And then once you get down into that conversion, they make the decision to to do that donation, right, you want to make it as easy as possible to donate. You want to give them options in terms of payment method, whether it's like recurring. If you can make it where, yes, it's a recurring thing, awesome, just to make it streamlined, right? And that's a typical best practice of a marketing funnel. Now, what you might see, however, in some instances where if your campaigns are not working out properly, right, maybe it starts from your awareness. You're only doing maybe one out of the different buckets that I highlighted before. So in most cases, it might just be social media, right? The posts are just kind of random. It might be, hey, I have an event, put it up, and it's just really, you're talking about events, or you just kind of putting up flyers as opposed to content that is engaging, whether it's informative or entertaining, right? You don't have the means of driving that person from awareness into the interest and consideration. And that's where you have a funnel breakdown, right? Now, because, for example, maybe you have social media and you're just telling people to go to donate, that's it, right? You don't have content that supports, your social media marketing or on your website. You don't have that lead magnet to collect the email address of that prospect. You aren't nurturing and following up as long as it takes to keep them engaged, right? So as a result, you end up with poor campaigns because you don't have a system to take someone who might be vaguely aware of your organization and cause, becoming interested in consuming more content, signing up for email, and then being nurtured so they can learn and become passionate about your cause, to then become a donor, and not just that, a repeat donor, right? So this is another example of a marketing plan. This is just some part I found. So just kind of reiterating what we're talking about. You're attracting people, right, with your search, online ads, social media, right? You turn the visitors into leads, so that's where you may have like your landing pages, right, the sign-up forms, in order to nurture, right, with your email campaigns. Maybe it might be a webinar. That's another one. Case studies are good, but I think the email campaigns and the webinars are the two strongest, right? Then you can go down into the and by and large, the brackets may be slightly different, but the structure and strategy is the same, right? One thing here, you have the close, you have your delight, right? And then the measure. And that's actually a key part, because if you can measure properly, you can then use that to tweak each section of the funnel. So, the important thing is not to get caught up with the differences in some of the terminology. Is really understanding what you're doing to attract, to interest, to convert, right? And then I would just say, I like this chart because it does have the measurement, because that's something a lot of places forget to do. They might look at just some key stats such as, how many and how many maybe email opens, but what insights can you glean to really tweak each of these steps to make it more effective in the future? All right. If you are in need of help with your campaigns, whether it's getting them implemented for the first time or maybe seeing where there are breakdowns, let us know, and we're glad to schedule a call. The link to get in touch with us is in the description.